not sexual urgency or aggressiveness. It is the anxious terror produced in an animal that has attained self-awareness and knows that it will die. Death awareness and the anxiety it produces is not simply uncomfortable. It does not simply make us uneasy. It is so overwhelmingly threatening to the human psyche that it positively has to be repressed. Generative death anxiety enters public life as each individual engages measures to repress it. The most prominent and important of these measures to repress generative death anxiety is the Personal Immortality Project. Again from the Becker Reader. Spurred by the need to repress awareness of mortality from consciousness, human beings spend enormous amounts of psychic energy creating symbols of immortality, the psychological mechanisms for taming the terror of finitude with which people identify themselves, and through which people vicariously participate in a sense of immortality at the symbolic level. All of these immortality projects, save one, are a lie. The best they can offer is false consolation. At their worst, they use authority and power tyrannically to trap people in the various stages of grief, and so trapped, the grieved are denied healing and consolation, and the care of souls goes wanting. Consolation's opposition, if you will, this generative death anxiety, which both drives the need for consolation and yet opposes it, gains its power from that enormous psychic energy expended by mortal human beings to devise or participate in immortality projects. The opposition uses a simple deception to entrap people in its false consolation, and this lie works because it corresponds to our experience of reality. Our observations tell us that there is only one death. You live and you die. Or as I learned in college, life's a bitch, then you die. Even the Bible tells us, or there's a few others we could use. Even the Bible tells us that people are appointed to die once, and then the judgment. Hebrews 9. The opposition directs our attentions to this death, the death of the body, and proposes an immense variety of immortality projects to both deny and overcome this death. One of the most frequent immortality projects is where they bifurcate the human being. And they split us down the middle, just like the Nestorians wanted to split the divine and human nature of Christ. And so they split us into flesh and spirit. You know? And so we do not enjoy, as the Reformation came to demand, that we do not enjoy the communicatio idiomata that they used to describe the profusion of Christ's divine and human natures. And so the lie that we are told is that we can be spiritual and leave the body to some sort of neglect or some sort of lesser importance, as it is only of the material world. And so in doing that, the lie that they test does not acknowledge or covers up the most important death that we undergo. And this is the death of the old Adam, the old Eve, at the baptismal font. You know, this is the one that is so, its magnitude so overcame Luther that he could speak of our physical dying, the going down to the grave. He could speak of that as the todlim, the little death. It didn't amount to a single thing. It was the death of the old Adam, the death of the old Eve. That was the one that drove our whole existence. And we learned from our daughter about three dinosaurs, foot and foot and foot. And after 20 minutes of story, you come down to the punchline, which is foot tells foot that we already have 1 foot in the grave. Because foot died. Well, the reason that strikes me at this point is because Steve Paulson lectured us at Galatians February of this year, wasn't it? February of this year on Galatians, and he said that it's not about having 1 foot in the grave as you're going towards dying, but that you've got at the most just 1 toe left in the grave, and you're just poised to spring out of it. I mean, that he said, this is the way that Paul and Luther thought. The grave is just holding you by the slightest shred of flesh, just waiting to spring forth from it. And so consequently, the false immortality projects speak not of the death of the old Adam and Eve, but they speak of overcoming the physical death. And so they trap us. And yet this death of the old Adam and Eve is immensely important. I mean, we can look at Jesus' words, take up your cross and follow me. Unless one denies himself, the grain of wheat must fall into the earth and die. And so in every false immortality project that is given to us, then these all become symbolic. They become metaphors. And so it becomes a metaphor for putting selfishness aside. It becomes a metaphor for self-sacrifice. And in some extreme cases, it even becomes the command to self-flagellation. And so we're diverted. We're diverted from the death that we must undergo as the old being is drowned by water and the Word. And the reason that we are so caught up in these false immortality projects is because for the old Adam or Eve to die, it must be the death of all those immortality projects, leaving